First of all, Mark Ronson, welcome to Sydney.
Hey, thank you very much.
You're performing the club night tonight. What can we expect from the set?
Well, basically Club Heartbreak is this thing that we sort of started when I was working on the album, because I was making all this kind of like slightly sad dance music, and at the time Rami from the XX was in the studio, and we're like, why don't we have a party tonight? We have this tiny lounge in the studio. We'll bring speakers and just you and me DJ and play our favorite sad bangers, you know? And then I asked my friend Brody, who's this great young designer, he's from Perth, and I said, can you just make up a quick flyer with a broken heart, a disco ball shaped like a broken heart, and that'll be the night, Club Heartbreak. So it was something fun that we kept doing while we were making Late Night Feelings. Actually, I mean, so that's the thing itself. I mean, this is an artist's rendering on my arm of the logo, but so that's what I've been doing. So it's fun because I've been DJing for over 20 years, and like sometimes you just go in the club and you're like, what the hell am I going to play tonight? You're looking at 8,000 tunes, and the idea of like having this depth, this kind of parameters, like it has to be like kind of this kind of emotional, slightly sad dance music, and that could be anything. That could be a Robin tune, that could be Tame Impala, that could be Gloria Gaynor. I mean, we don't go that obvious, but like, that's kind of that's the theme of the night. So and everywhere we go, there's always local DJs playing, and it's great to hear what everybody else's interpretation of a sad banger is. So I'm very excited.
I'm not gonna lie, some of my favorite nights are those nights where you're dancing but crying at the same time.
Yeah. Kind
of like, as you just said, Robin, dancing on my own. Like, that's the best kind of vibe.
Yeah, they are. Like, there's something really nice, because like, you're just like, it's something about dancing is like, and obviously dancing away the pain, but also there's this triumphant feeling. It's like, I'm gonna make it anyway. Like, it's got that too. It's not all just like mopey, but I would love to do that, like a video where just like the dancer just like slowly gets filled up with tears, so it's just like it's up to everybody's like waistline or whatever. I don't know, maybe that's too much.
No, I love that. That sounds amazing. The whole concept of the album, Late Night Feelings, I just love that thought, because everybody has late night feelings, whether it's the kind of person that you're having a late night dinner and you're thinking about things, or you're lying in bed and you can't sleep because you're still thinking.
Yeah.
For you, how did the whole concept of late night feelings form?
Well, I kind of, I was writing this song with this songwriter Ilse, who's all over the album, and I've been friends with Like for a long time, but I've never really worked with her, because I love her, but she makes like really sad, like emo gothy kind of like dramatic music, and of course with this album now it made a lot more sense. But she's really been like the mainstay through the record, and even like the person that I like played the songs to as I was working on them, even songs that with other people. So anyway, so Like came over, helped us finish the song, and the minute she came up with the term Late Night Feelings, I loved it, because it kind of sounded a little modern. It wasn't just only about like heartbreak. It could be anything. It could be Brexit, it could be Trump, it could be lust. So as soon as she kind of said that, I think I had a bit of an idea, like, oh, that would be a good album title for sure. But yeah, that's the thing that's cool about it. And also, there's that thing when you're falling asleep at night where like you can't remember if you're like just dreamt that, or if you are, you start to have those slightly delirious thoughts, like, am I asleep yet? And so I like all of the things that Late Night Feelings like kind of could refer to.
That's it. I love it. And in terms of the track list, I feel like it takes you on a journey. There are those moments of like potential heartbreak, or those moments of thinking about life issues and things that are going on. How important to you was the track list, and how did you decide to get those tracks in the list that we see them today?
Yeah, I think because like that's one thing from coming from being a DJ, you're always thinking of the arc of the night and how you start it. And for me, because I don't sing, and there are all these voices, I need to make the album feel cohesive. So that's why it's got this kind of intro with the late night prelude, and then it ends with Like again singing on and on and on. Like, I need it to feel like it's an album, like it's kind of bookended, but you're just always thinking about how to build tempo and put moods, and of course like the stereotypical putting some of the slow songs towards the end, because that's the slow dance part of the night. So I guess it's my DJ that's making that track listing.
In terms of the collaborations like that you've done throughout your whole career, is there anybody who you haven't had the chance to work with that you would really like to?
Well, your doppelganger Bad Bunny. I like Bad Bunny. There's a lot of artists, but I think that you know, the thing that I didn't know who King Princess was 2 years ago, and now she's one of my favorite artists. And like this idea of this like discovery process of working and finding the next thing, maybe more than even like trying to get in the studio with like Kendrick or, you know, those kind of things. Because I've been so like, I've been pretty lucky in a way that like the kind of people that have just like walked in my door, like literally like Amy Winehouse, like meeting her in the studio, outside my studio on 19 Mercer Street, my old studio in New York. So like, I try not to think too much about like, oh, I want this person, I need this person. It's like I just get excited for who I might meet tomorrow.
I love that. And as you say, music is changing all of the time, and so many different artists are coming out with so many different things. It's like, it's a super exciting time for music, I feel, as well.
I definitely feel that way too, because there's such like an instant thing between when people like write music and when they can release it. And like, obviously she's one of the biggest pop stars in the world, but like, I just remember when like Thank You Next like came out, was like a response tweet to like her ex-boyfriend, and she just tweeted Thank You Next, and like then the song was out like 2 days later, and it was like the biggest song in the world. Like just that instant thing that, and I think this accessibility that fans have to the artist, this really direct link, because I work with some of these people like Camila Cabello and Miley Cyrus have like 50-90 million followers on Instagram, and like I'm so lucky because I like inherit some of their fans now, and they like me because they see me making something good with the people that they stand for. So yeah, it's cool. They all just call me dad or father.
I love
like,
that.
Yeah.
And in terms of working on projects, because you do so many things, obviously you have your album and you're working on other people's projects. You helped Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper write for A Star Is Born. Is it difficult for you going from headspace to headspace between which project you're working on at the time?
I think that like this album has really taken a lot out of me. So like and also in the same way, like it took longer than I thought. So I had to keep like, you know, now I have like a little bit of a backlog of like things that so I haven't had too much time to like think before going into it. But after the couple of things that I'm working on now, Yeba's album and a few things I'm done, I'm going to take a little time to reset, just to, because you want to always make sure you're doing something for the right reasons, not because you're just like on a hamster wheel. So like so that's kind of what I'm looking forward to, and like just having a bit of perspective.
I think you definitely deserve a break. It sounds like you've just been on the most wild ride. You were talking a little bit there about the like doing things for the right reasons. For you, what is the right reason? Why do you decide to do a project?
I think because you think that you can probably do something good. So like when, like say a band or a singer comes to me, like at first, like of course you're flattered that somebody that you like or somebody popular wants to work with you, and then you have to think like, well, can I actually bring something to this? Do I imagine that there's something like that I can bring to this artist that will be good, and can we make something good? And just to not be motivated for either commercial reasons or out of fear, like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this, but I'm afraid of what will happen if I don't do it. Like that's the other thing that I used to operate from probably a little bit, like just thinking that like, holy shit, the sky's gonna fall and I'm gonna be broke tomorrow, so I better just do everything now. So I'm just trying to just be a little more reasonable.
Fair. Is there one song that somebody else has written or produced that you're like, damn, that is genius, and I wish my name was on that?
Yesterday by the Beatles.
Oh yeah.
No, I mean that's an obvious one, but yeah, there's so many songs. I mean, if you had to ask me, like, if you had a choice tomorrow, like between, you either have to like stop making music or stop being able to listen to anybody else's music. Like what I mean is like I'm still consider myself as much as a fan as I am like of somebody who makes music. So like I hear stuff that's genius like all the time. I like, you know, like obviously working with Kevin Parker, like, and whenever I hear his stuff when he puts out new records, and there's so many people, contemporaries of mine who I like look up to, but I just gotta do me.
100%. Is there a particular piece of advice that somebody has given you that you've just taken with you for life?
I'm always picking up. That's like the thing about working with these really smart, like amazing people. Like you're just like I learned so much just probably about like life and just like whatever, working with on the Queens of the Stone Age record, because Josh Homme from that band is just such an intelligent, wise, like deep, even though he looks like a scary Viking. And so like I just think about like what I learned coming out of that record, and about being like authentic, and that's a lesson that I definitely took back to working with Amy Winehouse. She would always just be like, I can't change it. Like, it's what came out. Like, this is honest. Like, there's no making it rhyme better or, you know, like, whatever. Like, and Amy also would never, like, if there were, like, I remember the first, like, time we ever worked on something that she didn't like, and I played it because we had worked for 3 days and back to back, and everything we were doing was like a good vibe. She just liked everything. Then one day she came and I was like, what do you think of this loop right here? And I played her something, and she was like, I don't like it. So I go into panic mode. I start going like, well, what if I change this, or if I take this little part out, like, she's like, nah, I still don't like it. And I was like, I know, what about, okay, if I take this part and change it, and she's like, why are you trying to fix it? Shit. Like, you can't fix it, shit. So I was like, it's super brutal, but like, I do like that idea of just like, you know, the studio, like, obviously is like a place where, like, the music that you write and the stuff you put out is an extension of your feelings. It's who you are. So it's like, we're always like trying to walk on eggshells, but I think that she was just always like quite honest, and she could get away with it because she was a genius. Like, it's not necessarily for everyone.
And if there is one piece of advice, if somebody watching or listening wants to get into music or is wanting to be a writer or a producer, do you have one piece of advice for somebody who wants to get into that realm?
Yeah, definitely. I would say, like, find your original thing that you do. Like, of course, when we're all starting, we all copy our influences and our idols a little bit, but I think, like, anything that I've ever been involved with that really kind of resonated, whether it was Locked Out of Heaven or the stuff I did with Amy, like, or Uptown Funk, like that, nothing sounded like it at the time when it came out. So it was always a little risky. Even the label, it's hard to think of now, like, with the song that did what it did, but like Uptown Funk, they were like, I don't know, like, putting the word funk in a title, like, can we call it Just Watch? Like, you know, just even these things, like, and I think that, but it's the things that, you know, don't sound like anybody else's stuff that really, like, break through. So, like, the key is really to, like, find your voice and find, like, something original that you do that nobody else does. And it might take a little longer to, like, break down the doors with stuff like that, but it will resonate so much bigger when it does.
I love that. Mark Ronson, thank you so much for your time. I'm so excited for Club Heartbreak tonight.
Me too.